Welcome to the Megacast. I'm Tyler Keith in the studios of our flagship stations, 89.3 Lakes FM and Civic Center TV on Comcast, Channel 15, and AT&T Channel 99. We can also find us in the Birmingham, Bloomfield area on Birmingham Area Municipal Access and on City Cable 15 of Southfield. Join us live on Channel 10 in Waterford every day on the Media Network of Waterford and live to tape in Lake Orion and Orion Township on ONTV, or Orion Neighborhood Television, also on Channel 10. You can also find us on the radio in the Birmingham, Bloomfield, and Troy areas on the Biff Radio Network. That's 88.1 FM The Biff, a service of the Bloomfield Hills School District. Find us online in a few different places on our Facebook pages at Civic Center TV and at Lakes FM, on our website at civiccentertv.com, and on My Michigan TV or MyMy at mymytv.com. That's mymitv.com, where you can also learn more about how you can take MyTV home with you on your smart TV and on the road on your smartphone for free. Free smartphone and smart TV apps available on a number of different app stores and other outlets so that you can get Michigan content, whether you're in the state of Michigan or somewhere else. Michigan's always in your pocket with My Michigan TV at mymytv.com. All that information is also on our website, so you don't have to commit it all to memory right now by visiting civiccentertv.com and clicking on our Megacast link, where you'll also find all of our programs on demand and find each individual interview as well. Then let's head over to our news page, civiccentertv.com/local news, where we have links to the most up-to-date information on COVID-19 from reliable expert resources at the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services, and the Oakland County Health Division to keep you up to date on everything that you need to know about COVID-19, including the spread of the disease in your local area, masking, vaccination, booster shots, and other precautions and necessities to prevent the spread and, of course, the adverse effects of COVID-19 for yourself, your family, your other loved ones, and your community. Also on our news page at civiccentertv.com/local-news, we feature articles from many journalistic outlets across the state of Michigan to keep you updated on COVID-19 and other stories making headlines all throughout the Great Lakes state. Our top story today is from Matthew Perrone of the Associated Press via the Detroit Free Press as Abbott has restarted its Michigan baby formula plant that was linked to contamination. Of course, one of the inciting incidents of the national baby formula shortage. Abbott Nutrition has restarted production at the Michigan baby formula factory that has been closed for months due to contamination, the company announced on Saturday, taking a step toward easing a nationwide supply shortage expected to persist throughout the summer. The February shutdown of the largest formula factory in the country led to the supply problems that have forced some parents to seek formula from food banks, friends, and doctors' offices. Abbott said it initially would prioritize production of its EleCare specialty formulas for infants with severe food allergies and digestive problems who have few other options for nutrition. The company said it will take about 3 weeks before new formula from the plant begins showing up on your store shelves. Quote, "We will ramp production as quickly as we can while meeting all requirements," and close quote, Abbott said in a statement. The plant's reopening is one of several federal actions that are expected to improve supplies in the weeks ahead. President Joe Biden's administration has eased import rules for foreign manufacturers, airlifted formula from Europe, and invoked federal emergency rules to prioritize production in the U.S. Abbott closed the Sturgis, Michigan factory in February after the Food and Drug Administration began investigating 4 bacterial infections among infants who consumed powdered formula from the plant. 2 of those babies died. The company continues to state that its products have not been directly linked to the infections, which involve different bacterial strains. FDA inspectors eventually uncovered a host of violations at Abbott's plant, including bacterial contamination, a leaky roof, and lax safety protocols. The FDA has faced intense scrutiny for taking months to close the plant and then negotiate its reopening. Agency leaders recently told Congress they had to enter a legally binding agreement with Abbott to assure that all problems were fixed. Abbott's February recall of several leading brands, including Similac, squeezed supplies that had already been strained by supply chain disruptions and stockpiling during the COVID-19 shutdowns. The shortage has been most dire for children with allergies, digestive problems, and metabolic disorders who rely on specialty formulas. The Abbott factory is the only source of many of these products, providing nutrition to about 5,000 U.S. babies, according to federal officials. Abbott is one of just 4 companies that produces produces about 90% of formula in the U.S. The company's recalls and shutdowns triggered a cascade of effects. Retailers have limited customer purchasing to conserve supplies, and parents have been told to switch to brands to whatever formula may be in stock. FDA Commissioner Robert Califf recently said that lawmakers could be about 2 months before formula's supplies return to normal levels. The agency has waived many of its regulatory requirements to accept more formula from the United Kingdom, Australia, and other nations. U.S. manufacturers, including Reckitt and Gerber, have also stepped up production, running plants 24/7 and sourcing more formula from alternative facilities as well. That full article on our website, civiccentertv.com/local-news. You click on the headline, you click on the thumbnail picture, it takes you directly to the Detroit Free Press's page while you're over there, while you're over at any of the other publications that we are showing articles for today. Highly encourage you, should you have the means to do so, to show your financial support and subscribe to these publications and support journalism all throughout the state of Michigan. Also making headlines on CivicCenterTV.com's local news page from the Detroit News' Hani Barghouti. A flood watch is in effect with possible thunderstorms in southeast Michigan today. A flood watch is in effect on Monday in southeast Michigan with multiple rounds of thunderstorms expected from the afternoon through the night, according to the National Weather Service. Isolated severe storms are possible in the evening, and the service had announced on Twitter, with wind gusts that could be up to 60 miles per hour and lower chances of large hail. The weather events are mainly expected between 3 p.m. and 10 p.m. today. Metro Detroit, Flint, Ann Arbor, Saginaw, and Lansing are under the quote-unquote marginal risk, the service said, with general thunder expected in central Michigan. Rainfall totals of 1 to 2 inches are possible, with localized totals nearing 3 inches in some places. Warm weather will accompany the possible thunderstorms during the day, with Monday's highs reaching 84, then dropping to 64 for the evening low. Easy to see how severe weather would come in with that stark of a temperature change. The National Weather Service recommends that residents continue to monitor weather forecasts and have multiple ways available to receive alerts. More information, of course, can be found as they update this article from the Detroit News and other publications on our website, CivicCenterTV.com/local-news, where lastly, making headlines today from a good friend of the show, a former guest on the show, Zara Ahmad of Bridge, Michigan. Allergies are bad this year in Michigan, and some are saying climate change is actually making them worse. Spring is nearly over, but there's still plenty of life left in allergy season in the state of Michigan. Blame climate change, experts say. Warmer temperatures are prompting trees and plants to produce more pollen, sticky particles that make eyes itch and noses run, sooner and longer. Quote, more people are complaining about allergies this year and last year than ever before, says Kathleen Sloniger, Executive Director of the Asthma and Allergy Foundation of America's Michigan chapter. About 60 million Americans deal with allergies and immune system response to an allergen like pollen. There is no cure, and sufferers typically treat symptoms with over-the-counter medicine or immune-boosting shots. As it gets hotter, spring comes sooner, and pollen-producing plants flower earlier on. That allows more opportunities for pollen to get brushed by wind into the air and into the noses of miserable Michiganders, says an expert at the University of Michigan, who had authored a study linking longer allergy seasons to climate change. Quote, in the past 30 years, pollination production across North America has increased by 31%, the researcher, last name Zhang, has said. Her study concluded that pollen emissions could begin 40 days earlier by the end of the century, since there is a correlation between intense pollen production and warming temperatures. For reference, in science, correlation is not equal to causation, but it leads one to believe that that's where the metrics are showing trends going. In Detroit, for instance, March temperatures this year averaged 39 degrees, 2 degrees higher than the historical mean, according to the National Weather Service. Overall, Michigan's average yearly temperature has increased 2 degrees to 3 degrees since 1900, according to the state's records. A 2010 report by the National Wildlife Federation predicted that climate change could worsen allergies for 25 million people in the U.S. as ragweed, which triggers the fever, quote, grows faster, produces more pollen per plant, and has higher allergenic content, end closed quote. It's not just an annoyance. The report claims allergies and asthma across the United States cost $32 billion per year in lost wages and productivity. Already, allergy season in Michigan is lasting much longer, says Dr. Rao Bota, an allergist for the Asthma, Allergy, and Immunology Center located in Flint. Michigan's allergy season has 3 phases. In March, trees like maples and oaks begin pollinating. Come May, grass begins its pollination cycle. And then through late July, weeds get going on theirs. Bota said the weed allergy season generally ends around October, but it's been lasting well into November because of warmer temperatures. Quote, "We had quite a few more patients than usual last year, and this May we were really busy," Bota said. About 10% of Michigan residents have severe allergies that require immune-boosting shots over a 5-year period, according to Dr. Bota. Intense allergy seasons also spell trouble for those with asthma, a condition that swells a person's airways and makes it difficult to breathe. Stuart Batterman, a University of Michigan environmental science professor, said people can expect worse symptoms and more missed work days in the future. Quote, "Asthma attacks and unscheduled emergency department visits can be expected," Batterman said. People living in areas near freeways or industry known as environmental justice communities should stay inside on rainy and windy days when pollen is abundant, according to Batterman, saying, quote, "Michigan has an abundance of rainfall and many plants that produce pollen. While it differs where you are, as we lose snow and ice cover, the pollination season will increase, probably more so than in southern parts of the country, which have longer pollen seasons," end closed quote. According to Dr. Bota, the allergist, people should avoid symptoms by minimizing their exposure to pollen by taking a shower before bed and keeping windows shut while they're sleeping. Quote, I can't say don't go outside, but you should get 8 hours of sleep and never keep a window open because the pollen can settle into your bed sheets," end closed quote, according to Dr. Bota. Another tip that patients have a harder time following from Dr. Bota is making sure their pets don't sleep in the bedroom with them. Quote, "No one ever listens to that advice, but your pet can bring pollen in from being outside," end closed quote, said Bota. Bota also said that the vast majority of people display symptoms that can be treated by minimizing exposure, administering a daily nasal spray, or taking over-the-counter medicine. All those articles can be found on our website, civiccentertv.com/local-news, as well as those ever-helpful links to accurate and up-to-date information from COVID-19 from the CDC, the MDHHS, and the Oakland County Health Division. We have a great program ahead on this Monday edition of the Oakland County Megacast. Coming up next, we'll be joined by Sally Drummond from the West Bloomfield School District, followed by Julie Moore from the West Bloomfield Township Public Library. That's all coming up next on the Megacast.
We may come from different organizations,
but we work together to protect the Huron River for everyone.
Neighborhood storm drains carry water directly to local creeks and streams. No filters, no treatment.
Storm drains also help reduce street flooding when it rains.
So clearing storm drains and the areas nearby of trash and leaves helps keep them for rain only.
It is easy to do your part by adopting a storm drain.
Find a storm drain, check it, and clear it every month.
So keep storm drains for rain only.
There's one water, and it's ours to protect.
If you are struggling to afford internet service for your household, there is a new government program that may be able to help. It's called the Affordable Connectivity Program, and it provides up to a $30 monthly discount to qualifying households. Find more information about the program, including if you qualify and how to enroll at fcc.gov/ACP or call toll-free at 877-384-2575. That's 877-384-2575.
The Greater West Bloomfield Cable Communications Commission has more information. Visit gwbcable.org.
We as Michiganders feel connected to this resource in a way that I think is really powerful.
Conservation starts with a caring, committed community.
For me, it's peaceful to have a relationship with the river.
Every single one of us has a role to make sure that those waterways stay safe and healthy, being careful about what goes down the storm drain.
Just even eliminating some of your single-use plastic makes a difference.
There's one water, and it's ours to protect.
Did you know that nearly 3.31 million Americans don't get their annual checkup? Going to the doctor regularly is extremely important and is a crucial factor in maintaining good health. Make sure you are visiting your local doctor often and telling them about any health concerns you have. For more information, contact your local healthcare provider. This message is brought to you by WBHS Digital Media Arts Program and 89.3 Lakes of Town.
2.
Welcome back to the Oakland County Megacast. I'm Tyler Keefe. To learn more about the program by visiting our website at civiccentertv.com and clicking on our Megacast link that's either at the top of the homepage on your computer web browser and some tablets, or it's on the left margin of the screen in our drop-down menu on your mobile phone and other mobile devices, such as some tablets. You'll find more information there on our entire network of stations, including My Michigan TV. It's not often that one educator is so ingrained in the fabric of the culture, community, and history of a school, which is why Sally Drummond's career in the West Bloomfield School District is so remarkable. Sally joins us now on the Megacast to talk about her career, which will come to an end this month after 52 years of service. Sally, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
Appreciate having you on. So 52 years with the West Bloomfield School District. Where did you get your start, and in what role did you begin your service to the West Bloomfield School District?
Well, my first teaching assignment was at Doherty Elementary, and they had just opened, and that was a long time ago, and they actually opened in a church over on Middle Belt because the school wasn't quite done. And at that time, I was a first grade teacher.
And so 52 years, a lot has changed. You started off at a brand new school. You have you're ending your career now as an administrator, as the principal at a school that's been around for a long time. But while the school district itself is going through a lot of changes, how do those two situations sort of mirror themselves and kind of give some nice bookends to your career?
Well, that's really, a profound statement. I mean, in the beginning, we were at Doherty and it was new, and I was just 20 years old, fresh out of Michigan State University as an intern. And it was a wonderful community, just like the Gretchko community is. West Bloomfield has served me as a professional very, very well for the last 52 years. Clearly, I stayed here all that length of time. And Gretchko being a new school. So, I ended up at a brand new school, and I'm ending at a new school, but just in different roles. And again, throughout my career of being a first, second, third, fourth grade teacher and a lot in between, a reading consultant, reading recovery teacher, and now principal for the last 26 years. It's been a great ride.
We're joined by Sally Drummond. She is the soon-to-be retired principal of Gretchko Elementary School in the West Bloomfield School District, where she has served for 52 years in West Bloomfield schools in a variety of different capacities. And so you mentioned some of the many different roles you've had, many different grades you have taught in the West Bloomfield School District. You've been a principal for literally half of your career, 26 years. And so why now? What about this time in your life, in your career in the West Bloomfield School District made this the right year for you to say it's time to call it a career?
Yeah, that's, each year I kept saying, no, I'm not going to retire. No, because I truly love what I'm doing, and I still love what I'm doing. So it's very bittersweet for me to leave. But the school, the community, the staff, everyone, they're in a really good place right now. Everyone is secure. We made it through the pandemic and many other different things that have been going on. And we're just in a great place. So I feel really good about going right now because, my baby is just fine, and they'll be good. It's a very strong community with a very strong staff. And so it's going to be in a good place. So my heart is probably always going to be here, but they'll be okay.
How much has the last two and a half years with the COVID-19 pandemic helped to really put into clear focus for you the impact of the work that you and other educators are doing and the importance of that role in kids' lives and in families' lives and even in the lives of an entire community?
So when the pandemic hit, a lot of people, talked about being flexible and pivoting, and we have such a strong staff and strong community support at Gretchko. It was really, I know this sounds silly, but it was really seamless. We didn't even think about it. We just pulled together as a community and a team, and it worked very well. And again, I credit my staff. They're amazing in their relationships with the children and the parents of this community. So it really showed how strong that they are and how resilient they are. And we're able to go through all those different changes without really blinking an eye. They were fabulous.
Yeah, it really was remarkable. I remember the school district had closed school on the Friday before the stay-at-home orders were put into place, when Michigan was really at starting to get into a bad spot with COVID-19. And by that next Monday, they were all virtual, and they had things in motion. They had systems in play. They had availability to pick up different devices and different items that were necessary in order to make that transition. It really was, as you said, quite seamless and really impressive. How does that speak to the culture in the West Bloomfield School District for fostering that nurturing learning environment at all these schools and really district-wide from top down?
Well, West Bloomfield School District, and that's probably why I've been with them for 52 years, has always supported learning. No matter what, whatever you need, we will get it for you. And, they listen to the administrators, and they listen to the teachers, and they listen to the community and say, we're here to help children learn. So what is it that you need? And you've got it. Here you go. The children all had computers. The teachers worked. They got a platform, a system down. And again, it's been for 52 years. I grew so much as a professional during that time because of West Bloomfield School District and the support they always give everyone.
We're joined by Sally Drummond, the principal at Gretchko Elementary in the West Bloomfield School District, where she has served for 26 years as principal out of her 52 years of service to the West Bloomfield School District, as she will be easing into her retirement this month as the school year comes to a close in just a couple of weeks. And so, Sally, as you look back, let's take a step back to the beginning of your career, to where really when you were choosing which career path you were going to go down. Why education? What drew you to this career path and ultimately has kept you in this career for 52 years?
When I think back, it's like, I know this sounds silly, but when I was in 5th grade, the teachers always had me help other students. And I think that sparked something in me that I wanted to help people. And really, when you think about being a teacher, that's what you're doing all day long, is you're helping other people. You're helping students learn. You're helping parents with questions they have. You're a helping person. And I believe that that's probably why I went in that direction. When I was first a teacher, I was very interested in cooking and being a chef. So after teaching all day, I would drive down to Detroit, and I worked in a restaurant down there, a cafe. And my 2nd or 3rd year of teaching, I was offered a job down there to become a chef with a French restaurant. And I said, this is great and I love it, but I think it's going to be a hobby because my passion is really education.
And it's been her passion for 52 years of service in the West Bloomfield School District. We're joined by Sally Drummond, the principal at Gretchko Elementary School, who will be going into retirement at the end of this school year, which ends in just a couple of weeks. And so, Sally, what are some of your favorite memories from both your time as a teacher and as an administrator in the school district over these last 52 years? What comes to mind?
Well, the memories of the people that have impacted my life all the way from the very beginning when I was hired by Carl Childress at Doherty. And at that time, we had a superintendent that believed in every 5 years or so moving administrators and teachers around. So I was at Doherty, I was at Green Elementary, Scotch, and then Gretchko. So I had a lot of schools from the north end to the south end of the district, and a lot of families that I will always remember, all the people. And then, of course, at Gretchko, we opened the school. When I walked in, it was, just some walls going up, and from picking out the furniture to all of the wonderful events that we've had. with the students and the parents. And again, it's the people, you know, performances like Rainbow Fish. And I just recently had some graduates, you know, ask me if I had any pictures or video from The Little Engine That Could, a performance that we put on, or Pezzatino, another performance. Or we were involved in so many charitable events at Gretchko also, from the Lighthouse, which we have always supported with many, many charitable events, and also gathering flip-flops for an orphanage in Kenya. So it's all those many, many different things that we've had, but it was the people that did it with me and surrounded us that I will always remember.
We're joined by Sally Drummond, the principal at Gretchko Elementary School, joining us on the Oakland County Megacast, where she has served for 52 years in the West Bloomfield School District. And so, Sally, you mentioned that the memories are the people, and so often we hear from students about how teachers have impacted them. After 52 years serving in the West Bloomfield School District, 26 as an administrator, what impact have the students had on you?
Oh, that's huge. And that's probably what I'm most proud of is, you know, again, when you look back, you know, all the students, it's nice when they come back and they might, you know, come back in their Army uniform. And this just recently happened to one of our students came back that was at Gretchko, and he is now in cybersecurity. Or yeah, I had a student when I was a first grade teacher at Green School, who is now an international virologist and speaker, come back and honor me at an event that he had. So it's all the wonderful students that continue to contact us and come back, and you know you've made an impact because we taught them how to read and we taught them literacy and writing, and now they have wonderful careers as doctors and lawyers and civil engineers, you name it. They've got it. And it's also fun because now I'm having children that I taught bring their children here. So it's been a great career.
We're joined by Sally Drummond. She is the principal at Gretchko Elementary School, where later on this month she will be calling it a career after 52 years of service in the West Bloomfield School District, 26 of which have been as principal at Gretchko Elementary School. And she joins us on the Oakland County Megacast. And people always want to go into a situation, certainly in their career path, and definitely when they're working with other people. And on their way out, they want to have a sense of, I left this situation, I left this place, I left these people better off than I found it. Do you believe that that's where you're at this point in your career?
Well, West Bloomfield has always been a fantastic district. And again, you know, I mean, it was great from the beginning and it's still great now. And I hope I've made an impact on people's lives, and we've grown Gretchko. Again, I opened it up, you know, in 1995, and here we are in 2022. And it's a beautiful school. I don't have to think it's a beautiful school. It is a beautiful school, a beautiful community. And I feel like the impact that I left is the school, the building, the staff is so strong and great, and it will continue on.
We're joined by Sally Drummond, retiring principal at Gretchko Elementary School in the West Bloomfield School District, joining us on the Oakland County Megacast. Sally, just another couple minutes with you before we'll say goodbye today. Any lasting messages or words you'd like to say to the school district, to your students, to your colleagues in the school district, both teachers and administrators?
Just keep reading. That's the most important thing. And, you know, again, Gretchko is such a amazing school, and West Bloomfield is a great district. So just cherish the beautiful people we have here and community, and strong staff, and it will be fantastic.
Sally, thank you so much for joining us.
Be in touch.
Thank you so much for joining us, Sally.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. More information on Sally's career at the West Bloomfield School District, including their dedication of Gretchko's I Center, or as we used to call it, the library, can be found on WBSD.org. disregard.org. Big thank you to Sally for 52 years of service in West Bloomfield. We're going to take a break on the Megacast, and on the other side, we'll talk about staying in school while out of school this summer and discuss summer reading with the West Bloomfield Public Library. That's up next on the Oakland County Megacast.
If you are struggling to afford internet service for your household, there's a new government program that may be able to help. It's called the Affordable Connectivity Program, and it provides up to a $30 monthly discount to qualifying households. Find more information about the program, including if you qualify and how to enroll at fcc.gov/ACP or call toll-free at 877-384-2575. That's 877-384-2575.
The Greater West Bloomfield Cable Communications Commission has more information. Visit gwbcable.org.
People are getting out to walk and bike in higher numbers. More vulnerable road users and higher speed traffic can be a dangerous combination. Crash severity has increased, so if you're driving, be sure to slow down and look for people. There's no need to speed. If you're biking, ride with traffic. If you're walking, avoid stepping into the road if possible. If you have to walk in the street, walk facing traffic. Learn more at walkbikedrivesafe.org.
When times get dark, we can't see the help that's all around us. When you don't know where to turn, let 211 be your guiding light.
How can I help you?
Our guides are ready to connect you with the help you need. For help with food, healthcare, mental health, and other resources. Call 211 or visit 211.org. 211. Get connected, get help.
Parents do a lot of worrying. Get your kids caught up on childhood vaccines to protect them from these 14 preventable diseases, and you'll have 14 fewer things to worry about. Vaccines are safe and effective and save lives. So let's get caught up on vaccines and worry about something else. Get the facts at ivaccinate.org.
We may come from different organizations,
but we work together to protect the Huron River for everyone.
Most of the pollution that goes into our rivers is carried by rainwater that flows off of roads, parking lots, and rooftops.
The leaves and bark of a single tree can retain a surprising amount of rainwater. Depending on its size and species, it could be 100 gallons or more.
It is estimated that an urban forest can reduce annual runoff by up to 7%.
Here's one thing that we know can help keep our water clean.
Plant a tree.
Plant a tree.
Plant a tree.
There's one water, and it's ours to protect.
One of the things you can look for in your friends is a change in behavior.
These can be big changes, they can be small changes in mood, physical appearance.
They may be sleeping less or sleeping more, drinking more, or their eating patterns may be different.
One big change that can be pretty obvious is change in motivation. Do they no longer want to play basketball? Do they no longer want to play video games?
Now that we're spending more time online and in virtual settings, it's really important to pay attention to the language that your friend is using and the words they're using to communicate.
So when we text our friends, are they taking longer amounts of time to respond? Are they not responding at all? You don't have to be an expert to try to recognize these signs. The second that you feel it in your gut and that you're concerned, that's the second to have the conversation and open the door to what might be going on.
Whatever gets you talking.
Welcome back to the Oakland County Megacast. I'm Tyler Keefe. To learn more about the program at civiccentertv.com/megacast, where you'll find more information on our entire network of stations, including My Michigan TV. Joining us now is Julie Moore, the early childhood specialist at the West Bloomfield Township Public Library, as we head straight on into summer, which means it's summer reading time. Julie, thank you very much for being with us.
Thank you for having me. Good morning.
Appreciate having you on. So first off, there's a lot of new things happening at the library this summer. What are some of the new and exciting programs that families and kids can participate in while they're out of school?
Well, I think the most exciting part of this summer is that our summer reading kickoff this weekend brings us back to in-person programming at the main library and our West Acres branch. So we have not had any in-person programming for our youth since March of 2020. So this summer, all that fun and exciting opportunities for our children are back. So this weekend, we'll actually kick off our summer reading on Saturday at the main library with just a big party. So we'll have some bounce houses and some circus skills activities and gaming trucks and a lot of fun things for the families to take part of just to get ready for all that's to come for summer.
So I've been to this before in covering the story for Civic Center TV in the past, and it really is. It's a blast. It's a lot of fun. Why have something like this as your means to kick off summer reading when reading often isn't something you're doing while you're playing in a bouncy house or running around outside, but it's important to have that kind of fun?
So it's an opportunity to get families to the library so that they can see all that the library has to offer and see all the amenities that are available to them. So having the party is brings them in, but it gives us the chance to register them and get them excited for the summer reading program that's ahead. Having them on the premise, gives us the property, just kind of gives us an opportunity to show them where the books are located, how the librarians interact with the children and the families, and it just kind of helps bring that whole concept of reading through the summer to full circle so that they feel comfortable and they feel excited about what's to come.
School is hard. It's a lot of tough work, and it's a long school year for all kids of all ages. And so summer's a great time to have that vacation, have that some time off, relax a little bit from the school year. But it's important to continue with these learning experiences. Can you talk about what's called Summer Slide and why summer reading programs are so important to prevent that?
Right. Statistically, we see that our children over the summer lose about 25% of what they've learned in reading and math throughout the previous year, coming back in the fall. So being able to have that summer reading program where kids are reading materials that they pick out, they're reading materials that excite them, they're reading things that really bring them joy, helps to keep those activities that they've learned throughout the year fresh and in their mind so that when they go back to school in the fall, they're ready to start the next chapter of learning. So especially in our younger children, as they're learning so much, so fast, and those little brains are constantly moving, that math and reading is hitting about a 27% slide right now as they go back in the fall. So we really try to strive to give them enjoyment in reading and being able to take part in summer reading and earning rewards as well as books from the library helps them to just get excited about it and put in some effort into that reading through the summer.
So summer reading is commonplace in so many school districts as a requirement for beginning the next school year over in the fall. And so with West Bloomfield having 6 school districts involved in the entirety of the township in some capacity, how does that impact the library's summer reading program to be able to help these students achieve those necessities for the fall semester, but also, of course, get that ever important reading in at so many different levels?
So the library works very closely with the media specialists within all the schools in our service area. So, we're in constant communication with them on what they need and what programs they're offering through the school and how we can then help them through the school year as well as the summer. So any of our schools that have required reading that the children are expected to do during the summer, we make sure that we have those books available for families to come and get through the summer and be able to check out. We also have found that recently most of our West Bloomfield schools have moved more towards a recommended reading instead of a required reading for the summer. So they're not telling you have to read this specific title, during the summer. It's more of reading for the pleasure, reading for fun. We are finding that some of our schools are incentivizing being part of the reading program with the library so that it helps their success in school as well as our success through the library. So the middle schools is having the West Bloomfield Middle School is having a specific incentive program for the kids who do take part in summer reading when they come back in the fall to have a little party together at school. So it really is just taking time to work together as a partnership between all of our schools and the library to find how we can all help our families and our children the best.
We're joined by Julie Moore. She is the early childhood specialist at the West Bloomfield Township Public Library. More information can be found on their website, wblib.org. That's wblib.org for more information. And so in the past, especially if recently you've had your library on the go craft kits available. Can you tell us about those, and are they back this summer?
So for the summer, we will not be having a full library on the craft kit where every week you can check out our grab of materials to create a craft, but we will be offering a special tiny art craft kit that will be coming out in mid-July. And what we're trying to do with that to-go craft kit is encompass the DIA Inside Out art program that the library is honored to be hosting 2 of 6 pieces of art in the community this summer. So we are using a little bit of the art inspiration to create more of those craft kits to go home. So families can check out a little canvas and some paint, and they can create their very own art. And then we're going to have a little display at the end of the summer where they can drop them off, and we'll have like a fun little display of our community artwork to help kind of draw them to see some of that beautiful artwork that's in our community this summer.
Traditionally, libraries have such a focus on reading. Why this focus on art too?
Reading encompasses so much, and taking the time to get this DIA Inside Out artwork in front of our buildings helps our families to see how reading works together with all of the skills that we have. And so we have a little scavenger hunt that's going on with the DIA artwork, and we're asking children to maybe give us some answers to some questions that they would find by reading the material that comes with that artwork that they'll see in the community.
What's one thing that's interesting and unique about the West Bloomfield Township Public Library's resources, especially for kids and families in the summers, is that if parents would like to continue the learning over the summer to some capacity, beyond just summer reading, there are also resources that are available through the library for them as well to help them teach their children or continue their learning over the summer seasons. Can you talk a little bit about those resources and how West Bloomfield residents can access them?
Correct. So the library does subscribe to multiple online database services that our families can use to really accentuate learning, especially during the summer. For our younger children, we have Scholastic Teachables available. And this is a really great service for families to find activities to help with the learning skills that their child is working on. So you can search directly for the skill that they're looking for and find activities that will help them along. We also have access to ebooks and online reading materials through both of our Hoopla and Tumblebook services. Our older students can get some tutoring help through BrainFuse. And then we even have a new fun Creative Bug service that families can jump on to find new creative arts and crafts activities to do together. Our adults can find ways to stay busy all summer and to be excited and learning something new. So there's definitely a lot of services available online, especially if any of our families are still keeping their distance, that they can find a lot of our materials all available 24/7 online.
We're joined by Julie Moore, the early childhood specialist at the West Bloomfield Township Public Library, with us on the Oakland County Megacast. And so, Julie, all these great resources that I'm sure so many are not available, of knowing that they're available to them in West Bloomfield Township. How do they access these through the West Bloomfield Township Public Library? If they've never been to the library before or interacted with the library, but like what they're hearing and would like to tap into some of these resources to help their children continue their learning this summer.
Yeah, the best way to see everything that the library has to offer is by visiting our website. And as you said earlier, that's www.wblib.org. And it really brings together all the services that we have. So if you click on a services tab, you can see from book recommendations that you can ask for, to programs that you can register for, to these online database services. We find obviously that the ebook collection has grown over the last couple of years as people were looking for ways to utilize the library, but maybe not come into the library. So we have ebooks and e-audio available, as well as movies and music to download and stream as well.
More information can be found on their website at wblib.org. That's wblib.org. Or you can call their phone number at their main branch, 248-682-2120. That's 248-682-2120. Or for those on the west side of the township, you can call the West Acres branch at 248-363-4022. That's the West Acres branch, 248-363-4022 for more information. And again, all that information is on their website at wblib.org. That's wblib.org for more information. So you mentioned the Inside Out program from the DIA. It's bringing art pieces to places all throughout Oakland County and even the Tri-County area in a variety of different places. West Bloomfield has many all throughout the township, including right at the entrance of the West Bloomfield Township Public Library. Can you talk to us about the partnership between the DIA and other museums as well, and how that helps to bolster these educational resources that are available not just to children and families, but to everyone in West Bloomfield?
Yep. So the library, functions as part of the community. And so we are here to serve the community that we are a part of, and looking to see how we can best make that happen takes partnership, and it takes the opportunity to see what else is available around us. So we had the opportunity to become part of the DIA Inside Out. We've been working closely with our West Bloomfield Parks Department as well, and they too have been able to acquire one of those pieces this summer. And so just kind of being able to open our minds to what's out in the community that some of our families may not be able to get to. So bringing it to them, being able to experience that DIA experience in the community, and helps families to know more of what's available in our surrounding areas as well. So really working together to see what's going to bring the best educational experience to the community that we serve.
We're joined by Julie Moore, the early childhood specialist at the West Bloomfield Township Public Library, joining us on the Oakland County Megacast. Again, more information can be found on wblib.org. That's wblib.org. You can find more information on the DIA's Inside Out program, which is also in places all throughout West Bloomfield Township, including the library, by visiting West Bloomfield Parks' website at wbparks.org, where they have a full listing of everywhere in West Bloomfield Township you can find these recreations of classic art pieces all throughout the township in partnership with the Detroit Institute of Arts. Julie, just another couple minutes with you before we'll say goodbye today. Any other things that we haven't talked about today that would be interesting or important for our audience, particularly those families, to know about in terms of resources this summer or other fun events coming up at the library?
Well, I think most of our families in our community will be excited to just know that we are, reopening our programming doors, and we are moving out into the community this summer. So they may see programs from the library down at Drake Park. They may see programs at the library up at Gretchko Elementary, as well as with our Parks and Rec department out in front of the library. So you're going to see the library members and out in the community working hard to, learn our new community that maybe has moved in the last couple of years that we haven't had the chance to meet yet, and to just really kind of get our hands back out to our friends and family that we've missed so much over the last couple of years. So we feel that really you'll see a lot of fun with magic shows and puppet shows, and having the opportunity to interact with your neighbors and community members. So that will be really exciting for everyone within the community to see this summer.
All that fun begins at wblib.org for more information, where you can also find more info on all their programs at the West Bloomfield Library throughout the summer and throughout the year. Julie, thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you. Thank you.
Appreciate it. More information, of course, again, wblib.org. We're going to take a break on the Megacast. When we return, we'll kick off the Michigan Megacast on your radio homes for the program 89.3 WBLD Orchard Lake and 88.1 WBFH Bloomfield Hills, and as well as the rest of our network with Gabe Karp, who will join us to give us some insight on the big bad wolf of conflict. Can it actually be a good thing in your workplace and other relationships? Find out next on the Michigan Megacast.
When times get dark, we can't see the help that's all around us. When you don't know where to turn, let 211 be your guiding light.
How can I help you?
Our guides are ready to connect you with the help you need. For help with food, healthcare, mental health, and other resources, call 211 or visit 211.org. 211. Get connected, get help.
We may come from different organizations,
but we work together to protect the Huron River for everyone.
Neighborhood storm drains carry water directly to local creeks and streams. No filters, no treatment.
Storm drains also help reduce street flooding when it rains.
So clearing storm drains and the areas nearby of trash and leaves helps keep them for rain only.
It is easy to do your part by adopting a storm drain.
Find a storm drain, check it, and clear it every month.
So keep storm drains for rain only.
There's one water, and it's ours to protect.
If you are struggling to afford internet service for your household, there's a new government program that may be able to help. It's called the Affordable Connectivity Program, and it provides up to a $30 monthly discount to qualifying households. Find more information about the program, including if you qualify and how to enroll at fcc.gov/ACP or call toll-free at 877-384-2575. That's 877-384-2575.
The Greater West Bloomfield Cable Communications Commission has more information. Visit gwbcable.org.
We as Michiganders feel connected to this resource in a way that I think is really powerful.
Conservation starts with a caring, committed community.
For me, it's peaceful to have a relationship with the river.
Every single one of us has a role to make sure that those waterways stay safe and healthy, being careful about what goes down the storm drain.
Just even eliminating some of your single-use plastic makes a difference.
There's one water, and it's ours to protect.
Did you know that nearly 3.31 million Americans don't get their annual checkup? Going to the doctor regularly is extremely important and is a crucial factor in maintaining good health. Make sure you are visiting your local doctor often and telling them about any health concerns you have. For more information, contact your local healthcare provider. This message is brought to you by WBHS Digital Media Arts Program and 89.3 Lakes FM.
Achoo! If you are struggling to afford internet service for your household, there's a new government program that may be able to help. It's called the Affordable Connectivity Program, and it provides up to a $30 monthly discount to qualifying households. Find more information about the program, including if you qualify and how to enroll at fcc.gov/ACP or call toll-free at 877-384-2575. That's 877-384-2575.
The Greater West Bloomfield Cable Communications Commission has more information. Visit gwbcable.org. Welcome to the Michigan Megacast. I'm Tyler Keefe. To learn more about the program by visiting our website at civiccentertv.com/megacast, where you'll find information on our entire network of stations, including My Michigan TV, where you can watch us on their free apps for your smartphones and your smart TVs. And of course, we're always live on mymytv.com. That's mymitv.com. Watch us live, find us on demand, and learn more information about all the different places, different app stores and other locations that you can download their free My Michigan TV apps and take Michigan home with you and on the road, whether you're in Michigan or anywhere else. My Michigan TV helps you take Michigan with you everywhere that you go. We experience conflict all the time in the workplace, on the road, in the grocery store, even at home. So how do we make it work for us? Can conflict be a positive force in our lives? Gabe Karp is an attorney, an experienced corporate executive, and the author of Don't Get Mad at Penguins and Other Ways to Detox the Conflict in Your Life and Business, and joins us now on the Michigan Megacast. Gabe, thank you so much for being with us today.
Thanks for having me on. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning to you as well. Appreciate having you on the program. So first off, can you just give us a little bit of your background and how you got into your current work, how you became an author? I understand you began your career as a trial lawyer.
Yes, that was a long way away from where I am now, but began my career as a trial lawyer. Never planned to go into business or anything like that. I was a litigator, so I was in court quite often. Did a lot of commercial litigation, which is what I call business divorce. And also some legal malpractice work. So our firm was suing other lawyers for screwing up, which if you think about a lawsuit being contentious, those lawsuits were super contentious. But it was great. It was great training. You know, I mean, imagine someone who cross-examines people for a living and who hates you. And you learn a lot about anger and how the energy can flow in a room and in a dialogue, and how to, at the time, if someone was angry with me, I tried to get them even more angry. I tried to get them as angry as I possibly could because it would just work to my advantage. And I was a litigator for about 10 years and then left the private practice law and joined a small startup, which was a whole other story that would take too long to get into now, but joined a small startup, maybe about 20 people or so when I joined, and we grew pretty fast to over 500 people. And while I first started out as the legal guy, pretty soon I was taking on lots of non-legal responsibilities, operations teams, and working with lots of leaders and helping grow other leaders in the company. And we started throwing off some cash, so we started to look for other companies to acquire. And I headed up those efforts and did the M&A stuff on those. And then we'd acquire companies and integrate them. And throughout that entire process, throughout being a lawyer and then working in business, anytime I would look backwards, maybe 6 months or a year, to try to inventory how I had been spending my time, I was always gravitating toward conflict. It used to be I was trying to create conflict and mix it up and stir it up. But then in business, I was seeking out conflict, rooting out conflict to figure out where the friction points were so that we could eliminate them and just be more efficient and grow faster. And the same patterns of conflict I saw in litigation were recurring in business and in personal lives too. So it wasn't, the only common denominator was human beings working with one another, dealing with issues. And I started getting pattern recognition when I'd run into a problem and I'd say, wait a second, I've been in this situation before. It was different people, different dates, different facts, but it's the same structure of a problem. It's the same anatomy of the problem. And I started working on some tools to resolve them. And the great thing is that the same tools that can resolve conflict in a lawsuit or in a really difficult issue dealing with a client can be applied in any walk of life. And it doesn't matter if you're in the boardroom or in the courtroom or in the break room or in the parent-teacher conference or the bar or the Thanksgiving dinner table with a drunk, angry uncle spouting off about politics. It's the same patterns and the same tools. And then we sold our company. It was a successful exit. And since then, I've been into venture capital and working with the CEOs of companies that I'm on the boards of and seeing the same patterns over and over again. Only now I've got a pretty full portfolio of mistakes that I've made in the past. So I can see those patterns, and CEO tells me that something's going on, and I say, oh yeah, I did that. I screwed that one up really bad. So I can certainly tell you, don't do what I did. maybe try this instead. And it's just really interesting to me how all of these things kind of come full circle. And again, same patterns. And I have sort of identified what I call toxins in conflict. And these are things that naturally occur in human interaction, anger, fear, judgment, ego. And in the right amounts, those things are great. They drive progress. They cause us to fix things that are broken. They help us avoid problems. But if those elevate too much or they get too low, they become toxic, and the conflict becomes toxic. So I like focusing on detoxing the conflict and then taking the healthy conflict and leveraging it to drive success. And if you think about it, probably any time in your life that you feel that you really grew from an experience or that you benefited from it, that was you working through conflict in a healthy way. Or maybe it didn't work out well for you. Since you got from that, put you in a much better position to deal with a similar conflict in the future in a far better way.
So, Gabe, when you mention good conflict, so often when people discuss the idea of a conflict being in place in any environment, it has this negative connotation. But like you said, there are certain kinds of conflict that can be very constructive in many different environments. Can you define what is good conflict and how to recognize that, okay, there's a conflict in my work situation, in my family situation, in my social life, but this is good. This can build something better in this relationship?
Yeah, sure. One premise to that question is that conflict is inevitable. And one of the myths out there, the common misconceptions, is that conflict is a bad thing and should be avoided. So I would say anyone who tries to avoid conflict is trying to avoid the inevitable. And that usually makes it worse. When you avoid a small conflict now because it's uncomfortable, that will allow it to fester and grow and develop into a much bigger conflict that's going to hit you eventually. So I would say this: most conflict comes from a difference of opinion or a difference in goals between people or groups or teams. And to me, that's a good thing. To recognize those differences and to be able to work through them allows you to pick the best solution, because no one person has all the answers, and everyone can benefit from a contrary viewpoint. And the ability to hear that viewpoint, to make your viewpoint known to someone who disagrees with you, allows both sides to come up with something that has collective benefit for everyone involved. So let's get specific. Let's say there's a leader who has an underperforming team member on their team, and they've got some harsh feedback to give that person. Tell that person things that they is not going to want to hear because it's going to make them feel bad. And as a result, the leader says, well, I don't want to be disrespectful. I don't want to hurt that person's feelings. So the leader withholds the feedback to avoid the conflict. But that's not avoiding conflict. That's just allowing someone who is doing something wrong or could be doing something better to improve to continue making mistakes. That's not respectful. That's disrespectful. That's mean. That's like actually a cruel thing to do to another human being. Take a really simple example. If right before I came on this show, I was talking to someone and I had food in my teeth, like spinach in my teeth, and the person looking at me just didn't say anything and allowed me to come on here, like that'd be mean. That's something I want to know. So healthy conflict is the kind of conflict where a leader can sit down with someone and say, listen, we've got a bit of a conflict here, but I want you to be aware of these things so that you can improve. And if you improve, then the team improves. And if the team improves, the company improves, and it's all good.
And what can be difficult in the heat of the moment in a conflict or in a discussion that can get a little bit heated because there is a conflict in opinion or a conflict in philosophy, or certainly if there's a conflict in the perceived execution of something in a business sense, there can be this difficulty to take a step back, identify the situation you're in, and try to find the best route out for everybody involved, and identify what you have marked as those toxins. What's some advice or some strategies that you have for taking that step back and identifying in this conflict what are these toxins, and then how do we address them to turn this conflict into something positive like we just spoke about?
Sure. Yeah. Great question. As far as the toxins are concerned, there are quite a few, but I found that 4 account for the vast majority of conflicts that I've experienced and witnessed: anger, fear, judgment, and ego. And when those things when people don't have enough of them or they have too much of them, those are the toxins, and they create the conflict. But you also, at the beginning of your question, you touched on something that's really important, and that is, in the moment, it's hard because we kind of get triggered inside, like we get amped up, and there are really good reasons for that, and it's very helpful to understand that. I mean, it's nature and nurture. We are socialized from a young age to shy away from conflict. We sugarcoat feedback. We soften bad news. Our parents told us, if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all. That creates this sign that if we ever express a contrary opinion or openly disagree with somebody, we're kind of, we're going against, we're sort of violating the rules that we were taught as a child. So we just don't want to do that. And in addition to that, we've got physiological aspects of our body that have developed over the millennia. I mean, you're talking about billions of years of evolution that have secured the survival and growth of the human species to protect against threats. And when we're confronted with a physical threat in the wild, we have a fight or flight response. And that does things like takes our thinking offline. When our ancestors faced a saber-toothed tiger, when they came out of the cave, they didn't have time to think or reason. They just had to react, and it had to be instinctive and reactive. So great. But those instincts are today. So when I'm in a meeting and someone says something and I feel maybe personally attacked or judged in a way, I'll start to feel the physiological effects of conflict. Like the hair on the back of my neck will stand up. My breathing and heart rate may increase. And those are signs. Those physiological symptoms are signs that something's going on and taking you into some toxic situation. So one piece of advice I have, and it's not like you can just flip a switch. You can't just turn that off. But what you can do is think about it in advance. And when that happens, identify the moment when you've got those physiological responses to conflict. And maybe at first you identifying it in real time, but you will immediately afterwards. I always tell people, like, have you ever come up with the perfect thing to say in an argument only an hour after the argument ended? And everyone says, yeah. And the reason is that your access to the thinking part of your brain had been shut down during that conflict. So if that ever happens, think back to that moment, because it won't have been that long ago. And you can say, you know what, I kind of get a sense of how I react in those situations. And the next time it happens and you say, oh wait, I feel like my breathing's getting rapid, or I realize I don't like how this person's talking to me. I don't feel as in control of my thoughts and my words right now. If you can take literally just one breath and hold that space for a second or two, that's enough to disrupt that instinctive response and pull yourself into intellectual awareness. And that gives you power and control. And then there are a number of different tools you can employ to use them. But that first step it's not easy at first, but it's not that hard. And if you do it 3 or 4 times, the learning curve is pretty sharp. So you get much better after your third time of doing it than you did after your first.
We're joined by Gabe Karp, partner at Detroit Venture Partners. He's also an author of the book, Don't Get Mad at Penguins, Detox the Conflict in Your Life and Business for Success and Happiness. It's Don't Get Mad at Penguins and Other Ways to Detox the Conflict in Your Life and Business. More information on his website, gabekarp.com/book. That's gabekarp with a K.com/book. And so, Gabe, I do want to ask you about the title. Don't Get Mad at Penguins is the main title of this, and it also has the subtitle, and other ways to detox the conflict in your life and business. But where does the origin? Yes. Where does the origin? What's the origin? What's the purpose of Don't Get Mad at Penguins? Where does that come from?
Well, I think it's best to think of a saying. And I made this up, but I say it in a way that makes me sound like some wise old sage. But it's between expectation and reality is a space filled with suffering and conflict. And the wider that space becomes, the greater our suffering is. And the penguin analogy is really a lesson in acceptance. We should accept people with their limitations and all, and not expect them to do things that they're not capable of, even though we may really, really want them to. And one of the challenges with that is that it's oftentimes really hard to see someone's limitations, especially if everything else we know about them suggests that they're not limited. So take a penguin, for example. What do you mean a penguin can't fly? It's a bird. It's got wings. It's got feathers, and birds with wings and feathers can fly, except that penguins can't. Flight is simply beyond their ability, despite the fact that everything else we know about them suggests that they should be able to. And we can choose to get mad at that, or we can accept it. And that analogy, you can apply it to interaction and people that you deal with on a regular basis. And whatever the facts are, when you find that you are continually getting frustrated or angry or even fearful of someone in a similar situation over and over again because they're not behaving in a way that you want them to, it's very possible that that person is not making a choice. They're not doing it on purpose. The thing that you want them to do is beyond their ability.
Joined by Gabe Karp, partner at Detroit Venture Partners and author of Don't Get Mad at Penguins and Other Ways to Detox the Conflict in Your Life and Business, joining us on the Michigan Megacast. More information on his website, gabekarp.com/book. That's gabekarp with a K.com/book. And Gabe, if people are interested in picking up a copy of Don't Get Mad at Penguins, where can they find your book online and even in some stores?
As my publisher says, the book is available everywhere books are sold. Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Books A Million, Walmart, Target, Google. There's also an audiobook narrated by me. James Earl Jones wasn't available. And that's available on Audible, audiobooks.com, Apple, and a number of other platforms. So if you Google Don't Get Mad at Penguins, you'll see all the results you need to order it. And it's a great, it's a quick read. And I'd say it's a great investment for, a few bucks. You can get a new perspective on something you've probably been dealing with for a long time.
Gabe, thank you so much for joining us. Appreciate your time. And of course, again, his book is called Don't Get Mad at Penguins and Other Ways to Detox the Conflict in Your Life and Business. You can find it anywhere that you find your books. Gabe, thank you for joining us. Let's take a break, actually. Let's take a vacation. Next up, we'll head to Traverse City and talk about all things tourism and fun in the city with Mike Kent. That's up next on the Michigan Megacast.
People are getting out to walk and bike in higher numbers. More vulnerable road users and higher speed traffic can be a dangerous combination. Crash severity has increased, so if you're driving, be sure to slow down and look for people. There's no need to speed. If you're biking, ride with traffic. If you're walking, avoid stepping into the road if possible. If you have to walk in the street, walk facing traffic. Learn more at walkbikedrivesafe.org.
When times get dark, we can't see the help that's all around us. When you don't know where to turn, Let 211 be your guiding light.
How can I help you?
Our guides are ready to connect you with the help you need. For help with food, healthcare, mental health, and other resources. Call 211 or visit 211.org. 211. Get connected, get help.
Parents do a lot of worrying. Get your kids caught up on childhood vaccines to protect them from these 14 preventable diseases, and you'll have 14 fewer things to worry about. Vaccines are safe and effective and save lives. So let's get caught up on vaccines and worry about something else. Get the facts at ivaccinate.org.
We may come from different organizations,
But we work together to protect the Huron River for everyone.
Most of the pollution that goes into our rivers is carried by rainwater that flows off of roads, parking lots, and rooftops.
the leaves and bark of a single tree can retain a surprising amount of rainwater. Depending on its size and species, it could be 100 gallons or more.
It is estimated that an urban forest can reduce annual runoff by up to 7%.
Here's one thing that we know can help keep our water clean.
Plant a tree.
Plant a tree.
Plant a tree.
There's one water, and it's ours to protect.
One of the things you can look for in your friends is a change in behavior.
These can be big changes, they can be small changes in mood, physical appearance.
They may be sleeping less or sleeping more, drinking more, or their eating patterns may be different.
One big change that can be pretty obvious is change in motivation. Do they no longer want to play basketball? Do they no longer want to play video games?
Now that we're spending more time online and in virtual settings, it's really important to pay attention to the language that your friend is using and the words they're using to communicate.
So when we text our friends, are they taking longer amounts of time to respond? Are they not responding at all? You don't have to be an expert to try to recognize these signs. The second that you feel it in your gut and that you're concerned, that's the second to have the conversation and open the door to what might be going on.
Whatever gets you talking.
Welcome back to the Megacast. I'm Tyler Keefe. To learn more about the program at civiccentertv.com. On our Megacast page, where you'll find more information on our entire network of stations, including My Michigan TV. Summer is here, which means it's travel season, and it's always fun, always a fun time when you're traveling to head over to Traverse City. Joining us now on the program is the Public Relations Manager for Traverse City Tourism, Mike Kent. But before we get Mike on with me, we have a special video from Traverse City Tourism exploring some of the many great fun things you can experience in Traverse City this summer.
Sunrise paints these cherry-colored clouds, wakes the earth, shining rays out on the ground, brings to life our town below the base, where there's great food and better people. Everyone's a friend, all are welcome, where the compass ends, so raise a toast to one more day. I feel it calling me, it's drawing me in. I feel it calling me, it's drawing me in. Take me there, take me where it's pushing, pulling me along. Takes me slow, my heart is full. Everything's right from wrong. Smiles dancing, sun and snow. Nothing ever looked so pretty on my mind, oh my. Take me there to Traverse City. I'm dreaming of a paradise, and mine is in the north. This feeling brings me back. always wanting more. Close my eyes, and the moments and memories always make me smile. I feel it calling me, it's drawing me in. I feel it calling me, it's drawing me in. So take me there, take me where it's pushing, pulling me along. Takes me slow, my heart is full, everything's about to wrong. Smiles dancing, sun and snow, nothing ever looks so pretty on my mind, no mind. Take me there to Traverse City.
Joining us now on the Megacast is the Public Relations Manager for Traverse City Tourism, Mike Kent, as we head into the warmer seasons of the year and people all across Michigan, the Midwest, and more make their way to Traverse City. Mike, thank you for being with us.
It's my pleasure.
Appreciate having you on. So, as we get ready for the summer season and spring season and then the summer season recently, can you talk about what's changed about Traverse City in recent years and over the past several decades that makes it an attractive city to visit in Michigan for those that are going on tourist opportunities from either within Michigan or outside of Michigan as travel comes back this warmer season?
Doesn't that video put you in the mood to just want to get out and do something, Tyler? And quite frankly, if you could see what I'm looking at right now with the blue sky, Grand Traverse Bay being incredibly blue right now, that I think would want to have you up here. And you really can't look at what's new in Traverse City without, first of all, looking at what's renewed in Traverse City. There's a couple events that have been either pared back or not happening because of COVID over the last couple of years. So one of the big ones that a lot of your viewers, listeners are aware of is the National Cherry Festival. So, it's 8 days around the 4th of July, and it is back full steam this year. And that means the Blue Angels are going to be here. And whenever the Blue Angels are going to be here, it's an incredible show that brings literally hundreds of thousands of people to the region to watch the shows. And it's worth every bit of it, too. So Cherry Festival is back with its parades, with its food tasting, and of course, cherries, they're going to be here too. And then just recently announced that the film festival, Traverse City Film Festival, is going to be back, and that's July 26th through 31st. So that hasn't been around for a couple of years, again, because of COVID. And they're going to be back with over 40 films. A very popular event is they set up a huge screen in the open space overlooking Grand Traverse Bay. And they, no charge to go to that. It's all open, incredible sound system. You take your family down there, grab a lunch or dinner rather, and eat in the open space and watch films. So that's back again this year. And the other thing that is back again this year is the Ironman race. The Bayshore race is back this year. Ironman is in Frankfurt in September. So there's a lot of things that have been either pared back or put on hold over the last couple of years. And I'll tell you, the place is filled with excitement because of that coming back. And I've been doing travel shows in Chicago, DC, and Dallas. There is a noticeable excitement with people wanting to get back. And people in your area especially, this is an area that is very well known to the people that are your listeners and viewers. And there's an excitement about traveling again.
Yeah, it's really a lot of exciting events there in Traverse City over the summer especially, but even in the spring and in the fall, a lot to do up there, a variety of different things that you can do. You got a city for those that like to be in a very active and upbeat environment. You have, of course, beautiful beaches and landscapes and beautiful nature for those that like to engage in nature during the warmer seasons in Michigan and more. And you mentioned the Traverse City Film Festival. I was there in 2017, just after graduating from Michigan State with their Theater to Film project, which always premieres those and other short films also at the Traverse City Film Festival every year. And so it's a really interesting event, it's a really fun event to see great filmmaking from Michigan and from the region and in an interesting environment as well. And so you mentioned the excitement that these different, that people are having to get back out to these events and get back out and having fun in the community in Traverse City. What about those that are planning these events? Because for them, they've been off for a year, maybe even 2 years, maybe even more, without planning these events, without executing these events. Now that they're also back, how are they preparing this year as opposed to previous years as they get ready for these events that draw in so many people?
Well, especially if you take a look at the last couple of years, there was so much uncertainty, and I speak as somebody who is one of an organizer of events in this area, and up until the last minute, you don't know if the event was going to go on, and I think there is enough positive affirmation that we're not out of the COVID woods yet. But things are looking pretty good and pretty safe. This is an area too, Tyler, that you have to understand. Our one of our main economic drivers is tourism and travel to this area. So this area learned very early on and very quickly that safe travel is absolutely critical. And what's happened over the last couple of years, we had like 1.7 million visitors to Sleeping Bear Dunes National Lakeshore. It was a record. Well, why is that happening? Well, part of it is pandemic driven because nobody's closing the trails. Some restaurants might have closed, but nobody's closing Lake Michigan. Nobody's closing the beaches. Those are all still open, or were all still open over the last couple of years, and people needed to get away and needed to feel safe. So what did they do? They came up here and they used the beaches. We have some incredible facilities. And Sleeping Bear Dunes, you say, okay, they had 1.7 million visitors. That's a lot of people for a town of, about 19,000 in Traverse City. And yet it's such a large expanse that you can still find that isolated beach to get away, and there's nobody going to be around. If you want to go on the dunes climb, there's going to be a lot of people there at Sleeping Bear. But if you're looking to get that remote place that's out of the way, that your family can grab a sandwich and go out to the beach, it's there. And that's a lot of what we were seeing last year. And when you talk about, the people who are planning things for this year, there's tremendous excitement about it because, they put their heart and soul into planning these things. And it doesn't come to fulfillment unless people show up. Well, this year people can show up.
More information on TraverseCity.com. Learn more about everything going on in Traverse City this spring, this summer, and this fall, and all throughout the year. Again, that's TraverseCity.com. We're joined by the Public Relations Manager for Traverse City Tourism, Mike Kent, on the Megacast. Again, TraverseCity.com is their website. And Mike, I'm often told by people that after watching this show, they really could use a drink. And coming up on May 1st, it begins Michigan Wine Month, and Traverse City Uncorked is one of those events that is celebrating Michigan Wine Month. It begins May 1st. In Traverse City. Can you tell us about that event and how people visiting the city can enjoy Michigan Wine Month?
First of all, we got to assume that their needing a drink has nothing to do with you. Is that right, Tyler?
I assume it has everything to do with me for 2 hours a day.
This area has over 40 wineries that are part of Traverse Wine Coast. There are 2 AVAs, which are designations for wine regions in this area. One is the Leelanau Peninsula. The other is the Old Mission Peninsula. And that's all part of Traverse Wine Coast. So May is Michigan Wine Month, and we produce about 60% of Michigan wines in these 2 AVAs, these 2 regions. And this is our way to celebrate Michigan wine. It's going on all month long. So it starts actually May 1st and runs through the end of the month. And it's a mobile passport that you just put it on your phone. And it gives you, and right now there's over 20 wineries that are a part of this. So it gives you incentives, it gives you discounts on either wine tasting or bottles of wine. And also you stay at any of the hotels and you can register to win a Traverse City wine themed weekend. It is our opportunity to show to the public the amount of craftsmanship that goes into area wines. You know, the wine industry has been going on for over 40 years. When somebody had this great idea of let's get rid of some cherry trees and put some grapes, and all the other farmers said you're nuts, but it's grown into just a phenomenal wine region on the same parallel as Bordeaux, France, and some of the top wine producing areas throughout Europe. And what is happening is you have got a moderating climate as a result of Lake Michigan and Grand Traverse Bay that becomes perfect for the production of wines in the region. So what we have are a group of wineries that are now producing highly acclaimed wines that are winning all kinds of competitions around the country. And the Traverse Wine Coast opens up those opportunities to taste the craftsmanship that goes into these wines. And while you're at it, enjoy some absolutely spectacular views of the region and the lakes and just the whole environment that this region has for the winery industry that's going on here. So it's our way to celebrate Michigan wines. It's all easily accessible. You go to 5 different wineries that are part of the passport, and you're eligible for a Traverse City Uncorked shirt or other wine items like the Traverse City wine glass or a corkscrew. And so it's just a little added incentive for people to come on up, try out the wines, and see what the craftsmanship is when you taste them. And they're spectacular. That is, to me, as a person that handles public relations, and I deal with sommeliers and wine writers literally from around the world, that is, I think, one of our biggest stories of the last 5 years, and probably will be for the next 5-10 years, because of what is happening with the climate right now. The caliber of the wines in this region are just getting spectacular recommendations from around the world.
We're joined by Mike Kent, the Public Relations Manager for Traverse City Tourism, joining us on the Michigan Megacast. More information on their website. That is traversecity.com. Traversecity.com for more information on everything happening in Traverse City over the next several months and all throughout the year. Mike, you mentioned earlier on the beautiful waters just outside your window there in Traverse City. For those that enjoy being on the water over the summer and enjoy water-related activities and events, what are some things along those lines that people can enjoy in Traverse City in the upcoming months?
Anything having to do with the water is here. Okay, so you've got a number of tall ships. We had a new tall ship cruise that started just last year. That's the Wind Dancer. The crew here at Traverse City Tourism went out on it last year. What a spectacular evening! You know, it was the weather was perfect. They serve up a locally sourced gourmet dinner, and there are other opportunities. There's a school ship for kids to learn and appreciate what's going on with the ecology of the Great Lakes and appreciate what we have here with the spectacular, and it's not just Traverse City and Lake Michigan, everything that we have with the Great Lakes is phenomenal and needs to be cared for, needs to be taken care of. And so there are opportunities for that. But it's everything. Taylor, it's everything from kayaking to stand-up paddleboards to, have you ever heard of an e-foil?
I've not, no.
It's a propeller driven like an SUV, a stand-up paddleboard, only it goes above the water and you're kind of elevated above the water. It's never been on it. That would probably not be safe, but they look incredible. Those are here and classes on that. And then don't forget there is Great Lakes fishing, charter boat fishing. There is, take advantage of the rivers and the inland lakes that we have here, and fly fishing. We're getting into the fly fishing season here real soon. So anything having to do with the water. If you're somebody who has got a family and you want your kids to be with lifeguards and, there's a comfort level with a lot of people around, we've got Clinch Park Beach that's right near downtown Traverse City. And they've got a little waterscape for the kids to play in with the fountains and things like that. Or as I mentioned earlier, if you're looking for that remote beach that nobody knows about except you, it's here, And anything having to do with the water, that is probably our number one attraction. And I just came back from a series of travel shows in Chicago, DC, and Dallas. And, one of the big things I say is, we have fresh water. This is not salt water where, you go in salt water and you come out and you feel kind of yucky. This is fresh water. And you can go swimming in this water and there aren't things that are going to kill you. We don't have freshwater sharks. So, you can enjoy yourself in the water and whether it's swimming or taking advantage of stand-up paddle boards or whatever, there's a lot to do here.
Mike, before we let you go, anything else people should be keeping in mind as they travel to Traverse City this spring, this summer, this fall, and beyond?
Yeah, Tyler, one of the big things that I would encourage is we have so many natural resources here that we can take advantage of. But we also need to appreciate that we have to take care of it. Little things like, we're getting into the hatching season for the piping plover, which is an endangered species of beach birds that especially hang out around Sleeping Bear Dunes. And there's not many of them in the world. And you have to protect the environment. So that means if you're out on a hike, and we encourage people to do that, but you've got dogs, make sure your dog's on a leash, because the biggest endangerment to the piping plover is just that, dogs that are on the beach and they go after the eggs of the bird. So respect the environment, clean up after yourself. I mean, simple little things that for the most part, our guests to this area do just that. They look out over the lakes and they say, this is something that's beautiful, needs to be taken care of. We certainly want it there for our generation, but my grandson, who is 2 years old, I want it for his son and his son's son and the generations. This is a fragile area that yes, please come up, take advantage of it.
We appreciate your time. Thank you so much, Mike. Yes, go visit Traverse City this summer. So much to do in that wonderful city up north. And it really just shows everything that Michigan has to offer in one location. We thank Mike Kent from Traverse City Tourism for joining us on this edition of the Megacast. We'll take a quick break. When we come back, we'll shift the focus to mental health and be joined by the president of NAMI Metro. Leon Judd joins us next on the Megacast.
Today, it is easier than ever to join Michigan's Organ Donor Registry and help build a bridge of hope for organ, tissue, and eye donation. Just one person can potentially save or help improve the lives of up to 75 people. By joining, your legacy could be the gift of life. Sign up today at michigan.gov/SOS or at any of the more than 145 Secretary of State self-service stations located across Michigan. Be part of Michigan's Bridge of Hope by adding your name to the Organ Donor Registry.
When times get dark, we can't see the help that's all around us. When you don't know where to turn, let 211 be your guiding light.
How can I help you?
Our guides are ready to connect you with the help you need. For help with food, healthcare, mental health, and other resources, call 211 or visit 211.org. 211. Get connected, get help.
Welcome back to the Michigan Megacast. I'm Tyler Keefe. To learn more about the program at civiccentertv.com by clicking on our Megacast link. Joining us now is one of 300 Share Detroit-supported charities and nonprofits. Leon Judd is the president of NAMI Metro, the National Alliance on Mental Illness, and joins us now on the Megacast. Leon, thank you for being with us today.
Thank you, Tyler. Appreciate being here.
Yeah, glad to have you with us. Tell us first about a little bit about yourself, how you got connected with NAMI Metro, and then about your organization.
Yeah, so I am the volunteer president of NAMI Metro and the founder of the organization. I had 34 years with the National Steel Corporation and retired as vice president of human resources. And then the next day became president of an international IT company headquartered in Germany, but to run the U.S. operations. And so in terms of how I got connected with mental illness is a personal story. I have a son who was 17 when we dropped him off at the University of Pittsburgh Honors Engineering School, engineering physics on an academic scholarship. And in his sophomore year, he had a complete psychotic break. And that was the introduction to mental illness that my wife and I and my son had, and my daughter, to mental illness. It was a very, very difficult time. First 5 years were horrible. A lot went on in those 5 years before insight was accepted. And then treatment came, and the excellent treatment that he's had. He's 47 today, doing very well, went back, got his undergraduate degree, got his master's degree. He's a cybersecurity analyst today. And so because there was very little available for family members during that time, the establishment of NAMI Metro allowed us to provide a lot of education and support and advocacy for family members who had a loved one with a mental illness.
We're joined by Leon Judd, the president of NAMI Metro, joining us on the Michigan Megacast. More information can be found on NAMImetro.com. And so you mentioned you're the volunteer president of this organization. To what extent are you working with this organization to ensure that it's providing these programs and developing new programs that are meeting the needs of the mental health of people in the metro area?
Great question. So NAMI and all of NAMIs across the country do three things fundamentally. That's education, support, and advocacy for family members as well as individuals who are struggling with a mental health condition. So we have established quite an array of support groups for family members as well as individuals. And then the other thing that we do, in addition to the education programs that we provide, we have a lot of presentations that we do in the community. We go into businesses, we go into middle schools, high schools, anywhere that is interested in learning more about mental health awareness, what some of the signs and the symptoms are, what they can do, and just to learn more about what might be available in the community through NAMI Metro and others. And the other is acting as advocates through our helplines. We're able to get people directed to the kinds of services that we think they might be needing. We are an all-volunteer organization, like I mentioned earlier. So we have no office. All the work that we do is through our homes or into the hospitals, which are temporarily, because of the pandemic, a little bit hard to make contact with. So we're hoping that that breaks loose and we can move from the Zoom meetings that we're currently doing to face-to-face, which is certainly much more personal than the Zoom.
So among the many programs provided by NAMI Metro and provided by NAMIs throughout the U.S. Is the Families in Action program. Can you tell us about the Families in Action program, what services it provides to families and to individuals suffering from mental illness, and how people can access this program?
Yeah, Tyler, the Families in Action program is a 10-week family education program that meets 10 consecutive Wednesdays, and each week is a different educational session. It is also put on by family members who have lived experience to other family members who are going through some of the struggles. We have put over 2,500 family members through this educational program. This was something that was not available when this first came to light with my wife and I. So it was one of the things that was really on our radar screen to bring and make available for family members to help them get early education as to what they can do. The overall objective of the Families in Action is to help your loved one be healthy, happy, and independent. And we've had nothing but positive feedback over the years as a result of doing that, those classes. We do it twice a year, in the spring and in the fall. The next class starts September 7th. It'll be done on Zoom again. Because we're still not able to get back into the hospital where we typically would do the family class. The advantage is that we have people that are able to come to the class that wouldn't normally be able to. Either they can't drive at night, or there are some people are even Zooming in from Florida, Ohio, other states where they have loved ones here in Michigan, but they're actually physically in another location. So it really does teach some really good tools and skills for family members to help them better deal with and help their loved one who may be having some serious problems in communications and getting along and those sorts of things.
We're joined by Leon Judd, the president of NAMI Metro, on the Michigan Megacast. More information can be found about NAMI Metro by visiting its website at namimetro.org. That's namimetro.org. And so for those that are interested in the Families in Action program and would like to join in on the next meeting of that program, or are interested in other programs through NAMI Metro, what steps do they need to take to either sign themselves up individually or sign up a family member or another loved one, or help them with that signing up process for any of these programs?
Yeah, the Families in Action is for the family members or caregivers specifically, and they can do it in two ways. They can either go online to namimetro.org, and on the resource tab of that website, you'll see something called Families in Action. There's a brochure that outlines the 10 weeks and an application form to get registered, or else they can email me at leonj@namimetro.org and let me know that they're interested, and we can get them on the waiting list. We already have people on the waiting list started out for September 7th class. These have always filled up. So they're obviously of help, but a lot of word of mouth is what helps in getting other family members to register for the class.
We're joined by Leon Judd, the president of NAMI Metro, serving the communities of Metro, Macomb, Wayne, and Oakland counties in the state of Michigan. More information can be found at namimetro.org. That's namimetro.org. And so what sort of affiliation does your organization have, or relationship does your organization have, this more localized chapter of NAMI, with the national organization? How does that communication then help to provide even better support to those in Metro, Oakland, Wayne, and Macomb counties?
Yeah, NAMI National is the largest mental health advocacy organization in the country. There is an office in every state. In Michigan, it's in Lansing, and we have 12 affiliates across the state of Michigan, including the UP. And NAMI Metro, Oakland, Wayne, and Macomb County, is the one that covers those three counties. The interesting thing, or the good thing about NAMI as a national organization, is they provide the training for the signature programs that are out there for support groups, for the presentations like Ending the Silence that's taken into middle and high schools, like In Our Own Voice, which is a program where it's presented to businesses, colleges, universities. And so those programs are going to be the same no matter if you're in Michigan or if you're in California or if you're in Florida. People are going to be trained with the similar processes for these evidence-based programs. So we also do things locally here specifically. We'll get calls because it's Mental Health Awareness Month. We've had 16 events in the month of, in this month alone in May. And so there's a lot of interest, but we can also customize presentations. We may get a call from somebody wanting to do a presentation on teen depression or suicide prevention. So those are things that we can put together and bring to the community based on what it is that they have a specific interest in.
More information on programs, support groups, and the In Our Own Voice program as well by visiting namimetro.org. That's namimetro.org for more information. We're joined by Leon Judd, the president of NAMI Metro, on the Michigan Megacast. And so as you're talking about these programs, you mentioned the training that goes into these programs. What sort of volunteer opportunities are there for people if they would like to help the organization on a volunteer basis and they don't necessarily have a need for or are seeking the services of NAMI Metro?
Yeah, we get people trained to be support group leaders for family support groups, as well as what we call connection peer-led support groups. These are, everything that NAMI does, I think I should have mentioned this, is peer-led. So if it's a family program, either education or support group, it is run by a family member who has a loved one with a mental illness. So it's lived experience, different than a professional, for example. Both are important, but different approaches and different understandings. The other is if it's a program for someone who is struggling with a mental health condition, those programs are run by individuals who are in recovery and have been trained to either run a support group or do some of the presentations that are put out by NAMI or some of the education. So we have quite a few people trained in our own voice in some of the presentations. We're always looking for people who are in recovery, who are comfortable with being a facilitator and trained to be a leader. So you have to be a member of NAMI Metro, number one, and that's really simple and very inexpensive to be. And you become a member actually of the state organization as well as the national organization, and you get communications from all of those organizations if you are a member. The one area that is very difficult for us to find volunteers for and get trained are young people who are in recovery from mental illness. There is a program called Ending the Silence that we have that requires two presenters. One is a family member and one is an individual, a young person who has got lived experience that is willing to tell their story in a
Leon, we thank you so much for joining us on the program. More information can be found on NAMI Metro by visiting Share Detroit's website at sharedetroit.org. That is it for today's edition of the Megacast. Big thank you to all the guests for joining us, as well as our entire crew for making this show possible each and every day. On My Michigan TV, coming up next is Steve Lato live from noon to 1 p.m., followed by Larry and Ronnie live from 1 o'clock to 2 o'clock on My. We'll return Tuesday morning with another edition of the Oakland County and Michigan Megacast.